Welcome back, everyone, to one of the few episodes remaining of season 2 of Across the Opti-Verse. This one is titled Continuous Integration, Continuous Development. I'm very proud that we came up with that name for the episode. It's a core part of software engineering. We'll talk about it a bit later. But we have a guest today, Victor Dippenaar, who's actually a sucker for punishment. He's just already done one master's. He wants to do another one, but this time he made it a bit harder by being a part-time master student, full-time employee at Opti-Num. We're going to talk to Victor about his journey, his master's, and how it connects to what he's doing in work. I'm really excited. It's really about career growth, about learning, and about handling a lot at one go. Before I start rambling, even more than I'm rambling right now, Victor, welcome to Across the Opti-Verse. Thank you very much for being here today. Why don't you just quickly introduce yourself to our guests?
Hi there, Dean. It's great to be here. So I'm Victor. I work at Opti-Num as a lead consultant, specifically heading up the computer vision side of our AI competency. And my background is in chemical engineering. So I did my undergrad at the University of the Witwatersrand, followed by doing my master's in chemical engineering as well. I think we'll get to that a bit later, Dean. And then lastly, I'm busy wrapping up a master's in data science through the University of Pretoria.
So awesome.
My background.
Yeah, thanks, Victor. I think I should also state that Victor and I have done runs together through Johannesburg CBD. Very cool. And also Victor is an incredibly good tennis player. I've yet to beat him.
We've done some swims as well.
Yes, we have also done mid-mart together. So
Yeah.
Victor and I have spent a lot of time outside the office. And yet can't stress enough that you wanting to do the second masters is probably the hardest thing. Cool. Okay, Victor, let's talk about your origin story, as it were. Where did the interest in chemical engineering come from? That's your undergrad.
Yeah. So the interest in chemical engineering, I guess I'd always really enjoyed math and science from school and thinking in systems and how various systems interact with one another. And I think chemical engineering offered a really exciting way to apply that to the real world and solve problems that are real life problems. So that's
okay, brilliant. Yeah. So you finished your undergrad, masters, and you finished your undergrad and went straight into a master's at Wits. Let's talk about that. What made you want to go straight into a postgrad?
So I was busy completing my honors. So you do a research project as part of that in fourth year. And I was doing it with a really great professor, Professor Tokozani Majosi. And we'd already found a research question which we were exploring, and there was the opportunity to expand that work into a master's. So I thought, whilst I was busy in the academic field, why not continue and continue with the momentum?
Okay, so easy question. What was that academic question?
Yeah, so we were looking at batch background processes. So trying to develop a mathematical model which we can optimize our batch schedule whilst we have a continuous utilities network. So at the heart of the problem is really working at on the two time domains, where one is discretized on the batch side and one runs continuously in the utilities network.
Cool. Okay. I wish I could say I understood it fully, but I mean, it does sound like something really interesting, particularly obviously focused in chemical engineering. But I want to talk more about, you started off as a full-time student, and when you started kind of moving into the write-up, the kind of thesis part of your research project, you moved into part-time work. What made you do that move from full-time student to part-time student?
Yeah, so I had finished most of the research aspect apart from writing up. So all of the experiments had been complete, and I'd been starting to look at opportunities in the market. And one that really stood out to me, I developed a very large interest in process control, which was one of our core modules in chemical engineering. and I had the opportunity to start at a small automation company as an automation engineer, working specifically on FMCGs, so with the likes of breweries, dairies, etc. So
Amazing.
yeah, it was something that stood out to me, and yeah, I started working from there.
Very cool. Okay, so you've now finished your master's. You're a full-time employee at a company working. You know, you had a bit of time now to reflect. The first thing is obviously, what are the major wins outside of the fact that I'm finally finished this master's?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the big wins. But I think for me, the key takeaways is really being able to work on open-ended problems. A lot of what we work on in undergrad, you have a problem that's defined and you're working towards a solution, and there's various extents to which your answer is correct or incorrect. Whereas I think what stood out to me as a win further down in my career is being able and being comfortable with ambiguity and defining the problem and then figuring out a way of solving those problems. The more tangible sides, we did end up doing a publication in an international journal. So that was quite exciting. And we also presented in Greece at a conference.
Amazing. Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Always nice to travel. I can tell you from when I finished my postgrad, I was like, I never want to study again. Research is insane. I'd rather just continue being full-time worker. This part-time thing was quite crazy. You had those questions and were like, let's go straight and let's do another one. What drove the decision to want to pursue a second master's?
I think for me, it was really maybe not a shift entirely in domain, but I'd started developing an interest in data science and using techniques from data science and applying them still within the chemical engineering domain. And I thought, as a full-time employee, all of the information is out there and you can access that readily. However, what would help me is a more structured approach. So I looked at a few options at universities and found this program, and the first year of it is coursework based. So I appreciated that in really laying the foundations and getting the foundational knowledge in data science. And then the second year obviously is the research aspect. So.
And is that where you are currently now?
Yeah, so I'm busy wrapping up the research aspect.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. I think then I want to talk about this, the idea that we spoke about, continuous integration, continuous development. It's, I think, a really key part of what we do. Opti-Num has supported you through this pursuing of a secondary postgraduate degree. How can you maybe talk more about how has Opti-Num supported you in this space?
So as you know, Dean, Opti-Num has very strong roots in the academic space and very strong ties with various lecturers across South Africa. So one of the key focuses or values at Opti-Num is growth and development. And I think Opti-Num's always keen to support employees who are looking to further their studies. And as such, they did help me with financing this master's, as well as when there are tests or extremely busy periods at the university, then allow time off for study leave. So yeah,
and it makes sense. You want to support your staff to grow in knowledge, to grow in domain experience, and particularly in an academic space. I mean, I remember speaking to Prof. Harley earlier on in the season. We spoke about that. The academia and the industry need to merge together. And this is exactly what Opti-Num is supporting.
Exactly that. Yeah.
I want to talk to you, before we get talking about how you've connected your academic to the industry work that you're doing. I know you're not the only person at Opti-Num wanting to expand into a postgraduate degree or currently doing one. As I understand, you were approached by a colleague just to talk about it. Can you maybe just give us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so one of my colleagues here at Opti-Num recently approached me and asked about advice in pursuing studies whilst working full-time. So I think one of the interests that stood out to her specifically was the application of research in industry. So seeing whether we could leverage any of our key partners that we've been doing work with over the years and develop a research study that would have both relevance in industry, but also answer an academic research question. So very exciting.
Did you also warn her about the stressful nights you'll have?
Yeah. No, there were a few tips and tricks.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's now talk about that. One big theme when we've done across the Opti-Verse, specifically this year, I've noticed, is the importance of growth, the importance of learning. And I want to talk to you about, you've bridged that kind of gap between academic and industry, and you're always kind of learning and growing yourself more. What has surprised you most? And I think you've touched on it already. Open-ended problems directed to solve to in academia, to where in the workspace it's I have a problem. Can you solve it?
Yeah.
What surprised you with the change of thinking from academic work to industry work?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I think one of the things, and I think there's obviously a larger surprise the first time, or maybe it's more apparent the first time after finishing masters and going into the workplace the first time, whereas the second one you're already familiar with both studies and work. So I think what really stood out to me is within academia, you're really focused on a model that performs exceptionally well, and you have a lot of metrics that quantifies the performance of the model, whether that's algorithmic or computational. However, when you get to the workplace, those things remain important, but you have to really answer what is the business value and the ROI of these type of projects. And that's something that you don't get exposure to directly in the academic world. So yeah.
Okay. Just one thing I should have asked earlier is, what advice could you give to a graduate just out of university, got a job, who wants to pursue something in part-time studies? What advice could you give them?
Okay. So I think especially if you are considering doing a master's part-time whilst working full-time, one thing that you have to make sure of is that you found a research question that you're passionate about and that you want to work on.
Yeah.
You are obviously constrained on time, since you'll be working full time and you'll have to put in some hours after work or over weekends. But being motivated and passionate about the topic that you're exploring is really important in that regard.
Yeah.
And I think one of the key things that I've seen is maintaining momentum is also very important. If you can just do a little bit of work throughout the week and ensure that when you have a larger chunk of time, you don't have to completely restart. That's going to help a lot. But having said that, the other thing that's important to keep in mind is also just do things that are enriching to you. It's a lot of work. You have to make sure that you're not burning out and that you are still caring for yourself. So
yeah, definitely. So it's a tricky thing to balance.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. I want to now talk. So the second master's, you're focusing it in a data science realm. I know from previous conversations, and I don't want to get into it, it's focused in computer vision. That is where you're currently working in now. You mentioned Opti-Num's got an AI sub-competency in computer vision that you lead. I want to talk about how is that data science or the computer vision master's academic research kind of leaned into what you're passionate about at Opti-Num?
Yeah. Okay, wait. Can you just think about this one?
I agree.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
it's a bit of a loaded question.
Yeah. So I think what's really stood out to me in exploring this master's whilst working specifically in computer vision is at Opti-Num, we'd already established a couple of computer vision projects before I started it. And it's easy to then go and see, well, this is what's available. We can continue to just build on top of that. But what the Masters has provided is an overview of what's available in the space, and as well as more best practices along with that. So I think it's important to take a step back and just see, well, what is the best options that we have for the task at hand?
Yeah, I think, that's a perfect way to also lead something as, as directly focused as computer vision, but it's also vague to so many people. Computer vision is a fancy word, and to different people, you'd get different definitions. What excites you? Looking at South Africa, and even globally. What excites you about the field of computer vision?
Yeah. So I think what's really cool about computer vision is that the skills that you pick up in it remain domain agnostic. So you can apply computer vision like we've done in the smart mining and manufacturing space. But equally, as part of my master's, for instance, we were looking at crocodile re-identification as a alternative or a non-invasive alternative for population surveying. So
Wow.
there's so many different domains where this type of work is applicable. And I'm really excited to see how it gets applied to various industries and how within Opti-Num we can grow this field both within the smart mining and manufacturing area, but also branch out to
Yes.
different industries and different domains.
Yeah, there's so many, as you say, applications for it.
Yeah.
And it follows the same principles, but it has such different abilities and successes throughout the various industries. Yeah, and that's very exciting. I wanted to talk while we wrap up. I think we're close to ending off the episode. It's a bit of a open-ended question for you. Over the next 1 to 2 years at Opti-Num in the work you're doing at computer vision, what would you say is going to, what needs to happen for you to say this has been a success?
Yeah. So I think two things really stand out to me. The first is we want to develop something that is, or a computer vision suite of solutions that is robust, it's modular and maintainable, and we do want to experiment and allow ourselves to learn and try out the latest and greatest models, but also there's room to standardize the more boring aspects. So things such as benchmarking and model exporting, etc. So build tools that allow us to really work on the exciting bits of the work, and minimize the time spent on the more routine aspects.
Exactly that.
The other thing that I think would stand out as a success is making sure that our customers are happy with the solutions, that we are delivering business value, and that they are returning to us with more work. So like we mentioned, computer vision has a lot of applications, and ensuring that our clients are happy often, as we've seen, leads to additional opportunities being thought up around site.
So, I mean, I know we obviously can't say names, but I know the original project that started 2-3 years ago has transferred into so many more projects, and those need to grow as well. Yeah, no, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, to close off the episode, Victor, I mean, last question is, based on your growth journey, your kind of movement from student to postgrad student to full-time worker, then to full-time worker with a part-time research master's, what advice, or what, no, rather not what advice, what would you like someone to take away from this episode?
I think what I'd like someone to take away from is that there are opportunities to grow your skills and develop, even though you're working full time. If you find something that you're passionate about and interested to explore, or if you want to change your career trajectory and move into a different field or domain, there is the option of doing so whilst, even though you're working full time. So that might take the form of formalized learning, so doing a master's, or alternatively self-learning, but definitely continuous development, continuous integration, as the episode is titled, is a core part of being an engineer.
Well, you, as you say, you're a chemical engineer working in computer vision. I'm a mechanical engineer working in electrification. So this, as you say, I really, really resonate well with that message. Thank you so much, Victor. Really do appreciate the time. To close off the episode for to close off the episode, I want to just say this is our second last episode for the year. As you know, December is coming very quickly. We've got a really, really exciting guest for the last episode of the year. Cannot wait to interview them to close off season 2. And I really, really look forward to you guys enjoying this episode with Victor. If anything he said, you've got follow-up questions, please do reach out to him or Michelle or myself. you know, Opti-Verse is always so exciting. Every month when I get to record these videos, I get really excited, and we've only got one left for the year. So thank you very much, Victor, and thank you everyone for listening. See you next month.
Thanks, Ian.
Cheers.